Boston flight, you were drinking pretty heavily.
Were you there? Ended up with a very ugly situation with Amber. So
Mr. Depp, with respect, trying to respect the court's time and the jury's time, that was not my question. My question was simply,
when
you would
take
agree,
5 minutes to look for a
you would agree,
document.
you would agree that on. Let's pull up Exhibit 500, please. 500? 500. Defense Exhibit 500.
I'd like to see who I lied to.
Sometimes drink whiskey in the mornings too, right?
Isn't happy hour any time?
Can't say that you carried cocaine in that box?
No, but it looks like it would fit some cocaine.
Stop right there. Before we continue on to this video, I want to tell you guys about badegrips.store. They have some amazing merch along with hats, hoodies, shirts, grips, and more grips. They have all the grips. They have glow-in-the-dark grips. They have camo grips and much, much more. Dude, use it for style. Use it for tactical stuff during gaming. It's amazing. I highly suggest them. So please, please go to badegrips.store and use my promo code SPIKE678 for an 8% discount. So without further ado, let's get right back into the video. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have some breaking news. Elaine bredehoft, aka Amber's attorney, aka Dumb. She has been on the multiple news stations talking about the verdict. This does not look good for Amber. It really doesn't. She was on CBS Morning along with the Today Show to talk about the verdict. And boy, oh boy, it gets rough. Not for Johnny, but for her and for Amber. So we are going to watch both interviews, and then we're going to talk about it. We're going to watch one first to talk about it, then watch the other one, and then talk about it. But before we get started, please go check out HelloFresh. This is what today's stream is video is sponsored by. So go check them out. I truly appreciate you if you do. So please check it out. And then also, guys, today, look, I got it. My Wonder Weapon shirt that is on my store. Go check it out. Got a fresh logo to support me. So go check it out. I think it's awesome. This weekend I got some more stuff coming to the store in support for Johnny Depp. So please check it out. I am truly grateful for everyone. So it would help me out tremendously. But without further ado, let's get started.
Virginia jury's decision to side with Johnny Depp in his defamation lawsuit is drawing both condemnation and praise. The verdict came after 6 weeks of very dramatic testimony from both sides. She claimed that he abused her, while he said she was the abuser. In his reaction, Depp wrote, "The goal of bringing the case was to reveal the truth, and that truth never perishes." Elaine bredehoft is the attorney for Amber Heard and is with us now. And we should mention, we did also reach out to Johnny Depp's team, but they declined to be interviewed this morning. Elaine, thank you. We're so very glad you're here.
Thank you.
We heard Amber's reaction to the verdict yesterday. This seems to be a huge victory for Johnny Depp this morning.
Yeah, a major setback for women, for women inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom.
Because?
Because basically what this said, Amber had an enormous amount of evidence, although a lot of it was suppressed in this case as opposed to the UK. But look at all the women who have no evidence. All these women who suffer from domestic violence, domestic abuse, they don't have evidence. And basically what this jury said is unless you pull out your cell phone and you tape record your spouse beating you, you're out of luck.
But Elaine, I think it was bigger than that, because you had the evidence, as you say, but they did not believe her. Why do you think they did not believe her?
She was not credible.
I think that a lot of that was that it was Johnny Depp.
It had nothing to do with Johnny Depp.
Celebrity status.
Her.
But she's a celebrity too.
And it's not only not
but she's
believing her.
yeah, but she.
Let me pause this real quick. Okay, so many things wrong already. First of all, it has nothing to do with him being a celebrity or her being a celebrity. It has to go down to being credible. Okay, even at points, Elaine, you have to know while she was on the stand that she was just over-exaggerating it. You can't not say that. Like, just look at her. Just watch 5 minutes of her testimony. You know, like, oh yeah, that bitch is lying. Jesus.
But she's a celebrity too.
Right.
But you have to remember, it's a tale of two trials. All the evidence came in the UK. Mr. Depp brought that one. The burden of proof was on the son in the UK because they had called him a wife beater and talked about the domestic violence. He had his opportunity to tell the truth then.
No, he wasn't.
And a 3-week trial, he lost. The judge found 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence.
12 acts in 3 weeks, that's a record,
November
I
2,
guess.
2020. We weren't allowed to tell the jury that.
Well, it's a different system, and the judge, it wasn't a jury, it was a judge. The judge said it was substantially true, and that is significant, and I think surprised a lot of legal analysts. But, you know, in this case, the jury not only didn't believe Amber Heard, but in ruling that she acted with actual malice, that means she had the intent to cause harm, right? That's a pretty high standard to have proven.
And it's pretty amazing since the op-ed never even mentioned Mr. Depp. You have to remember that. What they learned from the UK case is to demonize Amber, which is what they did, and to try to suppress as much of the evidence that came in the UK and did not come in the United States. But the other problem is we had cameras in the courtroom. So here we had, not only did we have a group of Depp fans that were there every day, 100 were allowed in. They lined up at 1 o'clock in the morning for their wristbands to be in that courtroom. But we had everything on camera, and we had tremendous social media that was very, very, very much against Amber.
It was pointed out that that was the first time that a victim of sexual abuse had to testify on live television.
And I fought hard and lost that battle. It should not have happened.
So I am a former NFL player, and after
before we get into this guy, I do want to say one thing. She's saying how this is the first time that a live survivor victim. Is no one looking at Johnny? He's the survivor in this. So if that first time survivor is true about the live, which I don't think it is, I believe that there are many stories out there that were live, that were televised, that someone who's a survivor was testified. Johnny is the survivor in this case, not Amber. That's all I gotta say. Now, this guy, he brought up an amazing point, and we'll talk about it.
It's easy to wake up and point to the other side. Oftentimes, I realized the better thing to do was to look in the mirror. What mistakes did I make as a player? What mistakes did our coaching staff make? And then how can we improve from there? Do you feel like you guys made any mistakes along the way? Do you feel like Amber made a mistake while she was on the stand? Because you're saying it's the celebrity, it's Johnny.
See, he brought up a good point. He's saying, okay, you know, yes, the other side may have made mistakes, but what about us? What could we have done better to improve our case? Even though there's nothing that they could have done, because her case was just total lies that people just looked right through her. Here's the thing. You can't blame the other side and not blame yourself. You know? Like, Elaine is just like Amber, blaming Johnny's team for all this. No, it's not. Amber brought this upon herself, and everyone who supports Johnny Depp is very smart and can see through the lies of Amber Turd. That's all I gotta say. And Amber, if you're watching this, please hit me up. I want to have a good talking to with you.
It's the people who support him. But what about you and your team?
Well, and that's an excellent question. And to say, and you know, Amber even said on the stand, I am not perfect. I am a human being. These people.
She said she was never perfect, but yet take no responsibility for anything she was accused of. Yeah, okay.
Were giving her death threats. They threatened to microwave her baby. This is the kind of social.
First of all, I'm sorry I'm stopping a lot, but first of all, I don't condone this stuff. Like, don't go out causing harm to anybody or threatening someone's child or something. I don't condone that at all. But to be honest with you, I don't think that's true. I don't know how true that is, the threats that she was getting. I think she kind of over-exaggerated the threats. I've heard reports that the whole baby in the microwave was actually stolen from a different court case that she wasn't even in. It had nothing to do with her. Which doesn't surprise me because there's been reports of her stealing lines from certain movies to make her testimony, whatever. It's stupid. She's an actress. She's going to be stealing content and all that from other people. Just like the whole sexual and domestic violence. She stole that away from real victims. Okay, it wasn't her story. It was someone who been through that story, not her own. And just even her explaining her story just didn't seem like it was her story to begin with.
Media she was getting. So are any of us perfect? No. Is there something else we feel we should have done?
Question.
Yes, I absolutely. I redo my closings 100 times.
Cool, congratulations.
Afterwards, whether I win or lose. That's part of being a good lawyer, a good trial lawyer is there's always something. But I think that there were a lot of influences.
If redoing your closing arguments after the trial, if it was before the trial, that's one thing. But if you have to redo them after the trial, after the verdict, then you're not a good lawyer. Okay? Then it shouldn't matter. If you're that deep into it, okay, what you need to be focusing on is the evidence and how to prove your case, not some stupid closing arguments that it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like, why after the trial? Like, I get before the trial, refining it, maybe changing up some things, taking away some things off the closing arguments. I get that, but after the trial, really? It's kind of useless at that point. Plus, if you're a good lawyer, why did you take the job? Okay? You got it. You must have thought of something in this that didn't make sense. Her stories were contradicting herself.
That were beyond our control. And I think the social media, it was like a Roman Colosseum.
Don't blame the social media. We're just making fun of your client.
Is the best way to describe the atmosphere here. And I have to believe that the jury, even though they're told not to go and look at anything, they have weekends, they have families, they have social media.
They were not sequestered. They were not sequestered.
And the 10-day period we had, how could they not have been influenced?
But Elaine, for most people watching this trial, and a lot of people, as you know, it got huge views. It just seemed to be so messy and salacious and so tawdry on both sides.
I agree.
On both sides.
Well,
and I think
not
for
so much
a lot
on
of people
Johnny's
from
side.
the outside looking in thought both of them were.
Here's the thing. On Johnny's side, it wasn't. There may have been points where it was kind of a little messy and confusing, but overall, Johnny's team was very organized and forthcoming about the topic that they were on. Like they didn't waste no time talking about some makeup or muffins or what have you. They went straight to the point when cross-examining certain people. They just kind of went straight to the point, got out, just like a good lawyer should. Unlike Elaine and even Ron Bourne, we'll go on and on talking about the same issue, asking the same question 10 different ways. Like, it made no sense. You were the ones that were messy, confused, and unorganized. There's pictures floating around of Johnny's lawyer's table versus Amber's lawyer's table, and Johnny's side is all clean, organized, while Amber's side was all unorganized and a mess, which I thought was funny, because if you can't remember certain evidence or certain exhibits that you need to bring in at that moment, or if you can't find certain things, like, bro, you need to be organized.
Not telling the truth, and that they mutually abused each other. Do you not believe that that was the case?
No, and that's one of the many misnomers. The way that Depp's team approached this was based on ignorance of domestic violence. It completely ignored the cycle of violence and just said, oh, she wouldn't have done this if he had been hitting her.
Violence.
That was their approach.
So you thought that they weren't fighting fair?
Correct. I don't think they were
You
fighting
were the
fair.
one not
I
fighting
think
fair,
Amber
bro.
Heard is, in fact, a survivor of domestic violence.
Yes, I absolutely believe that. And there's a tremendous amount of evidence, much of which did not come into this trial, did come into the UK trial. We even had more evidence. We had medical records. We had mental health records that went back to 2012 that were contemporaneous. We had text messages.
Those medical records she's talking about are therapist notes. She went to a therapist about the sexual violence. Therapist notes aren't gonna come into court. Only for the fact it's hearsay. And for the fact of, like, even if you were able to bring him into court, Johnny Seaman's gonna shut that shit down because, come on. Like, you're gonna base off your sexual violence there. When you're talking about medical notes, you need to be talking about the evidence of it happening, not some therapist jotting down what you say. You need to have evidence of that, you know, like a rape kit done on you, or, you know, just an overall exam of your body, and what may have occurred during the rape, like whether it was damages and stuff like that, like to your body. Like there's certain aspects to medical reports that you need to take in consideration that's more important than some stupid therapist notes. That's all I gotta say about that.
From Mr. Depp's assistant saying, when I told him that he had kicked you, he cried.
So how is she today, Elaine? How is she today? What is her next move?
She's right. Well, her next move is appeal. There were a
she's
number.
Heartbroken.
She is heartbroken. And one of the first things that she said when she came back from the verdict, when we went into the conference room, was, I am so sorry to all these women.
She said that?
Yes. She felt like she had let down all of these women because she had more.
Okay, that was pretty much the gist of it. I don't want to hear any more of her. Basically, Elaine and Amber are basically coming out to be like, oh, Amber's the one that stands up for all women. No, she does not. She actually embarrasses women. Okay? She's saying how this sets women back, you know, I don't know how many years. No, it doesn't set women back, okay? It doesn't set nothing back other than the fact that it is tainted the Me Too movement and their idea of what they're about, okay? It has tainted a whole lot in the Me Too community and just in the women community altogether. Like, if you support Amber Heard, I'm sorry, you're not a real woman. Okay, I'm sorry. If you support someone who's gonna beat up their spouse and then lie about it worldwide, you should not be trusted and you should just disappear. That's it. Just disappear. We don't need you in the world. Like, we don't need your attitude in the world. That's all I gotta say. Because, you know, I'm not saying Johnny is a good person. He's had his faults. He's admitted his faults. He admitted his drug and alcohol abuse. But all I gotta say is that, as you know, just because you're a drug addict or an alcoholic doesn't make you abusive, especially with drugs. They're saying, you know, with all this cocaine use, bro, you know, I've never done cocaine, but I do know drugs, and drugs does not make you violent at all. Alcohol can, but a lot of times alcohol doesn't. Okay? You know, people are saying how, anytime you're an alcoholic, you're abusive. No, you're not. Okay? Johnny has admitted to all that, but what he won't admit to, and what he has the right to not to admit to when it's not true and the evidence doesn't support it, is the sexual and physical violence that Amber claims happened, which was not true. We all saw it. Everyone with a working brain saw it. Like, it's just, it saddens me that this is a world we live in where this type of stuff from women or men is okay. And that's why this trial is such a big thing, is because Johnny Depp is not only standing up for every man and boy in this world, he's standing up for every person in this world that suffers from SV and DV. So that's where we stand on this. And I truly ashamed about Elaine. I used to feel bad for her. Now I don't. I'm not ashamed anymore. She got what she deserved. That's all I gotta say. She got what she deserved. You know, people were starting to feel bad for her until this interview. Okay, this interview and Amber's statement really damaged their team. And going on, Amber is claiming to have an appeal. First of all, an appeal is very, very hard to win, very hard to just be able to get to the courts of appeal. There's so much she has to do beforehand, which a lot of times not going to be able to. So there is a lot that has to go into, and the likelihood it will take a long time, likelihood of her succeeding, very unlikely. See, in Amber's mind, she thinks, oh, if I go up and get an appeal, it's going to be done in 2 days. No, that's not how it works. It could take up to years. You got to understand the Court of Appeals, you got to understand how many cases they're looking through. Because everyone, in every case in the country, and anyone that loses tries to go for an appeal, which I don't know how you would. I don't know if you know that you're going to lose the appeal. I don't know why even try, to be honest. But hey, do you? You may be that lucky person that wins, but the likelihood of you winning is very unlikely, because it's basically looking at the judges and the court's ruling and some of these like objections and court rules that they had in the courtroom. I feel like the judge in this case was very fair. You know, she's saying how there was not a lot of evidence that came into this trial. First of all, I don't believe you. Okay, some of the evidence might be hearsay and not as substantial to this case and stuff. And she and Johnny had some evidence that wasn't able to be brought into this court case too, along with the UK. Now he was able to bring more into this case because this case is fair. With the UK, he was substantially low on evidence compared to here because of their rulings in the UK. So if you're gonna base your trial, if you're gonna base a trial in a whole nother country off of this trial, you need to like go to a different planet, because use some common sense. Literally use some common sense. Both trials completely different. One's run by a jury, one's run by a judge, and that judge is from the UK. Okay, the judge was super biased. There's rumors going around that the Sun article actually is in connection with the judge, as far as the judge's child working in the article. So that's also super biased. He wasn't able to bring in a whole lot of evidence. Plus, they also have a law in the UK to where they only believe women, no matter what. So it's substantially harder. This article had the home field in their country, and she was only a witness when she says, "Oh, well, we won in the UK." She did not win in the UK. Let's make that clear. She did not win in the UK. The article won in the UK, not her. She was a witness in a bigger game. She didn't win no money. She didn't get nothing. Okay? She just damaged his career further without being part of it. And so that's why he took it over here, sued her, because she did this to him. And very smart of him. Let's go on to... I think this is the wrong. This is, I believe, the Today Show. mistaken. I want you guys to kind of see what's going on.
We are joined now by Amber Heard's attorney, Elaine Charlson.
And the connections from these two interviews.
First question, how is Amber doing? We saw her hearing that verdict. It took a long time to read. It was a sweeping verdict for Johnny Depp. How did she handle it?
You know,
Nobody
one of
cares
the
about
first
the
things
verdict
she said is,
about
I am
her
so
feelings.
sorry to all those women out there. This is a setback.
She does. All these
for all
women do
women
not
in
care.
and outside the courtroom, and she
Didn't she
feels
look out
she feels
the
burden of
courtroom
that.
where with all these women
knowing the case
against
and knowing
her?
the law, as you certainly do, it frankly it favors defendants like Amber Heard. Are you stunned that the jury essentially rejected her story?
Well, you know, really what happened here is it's a tale of two trials. Johnny Depp brought a suit in the UK for the same case, and the burden of proof was easier for him there. The son had to actually prove that it was true, and the court found there, and we weren't allowed to tell the jury this, but the court found that Mr. Depp had committed at least 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence, against Amber. So what did Depp's team learn from this?
That's how I checked. I don't think she was a lawyer.
The evidence.
No, because he wasn't suing her.
Of evidence
she
that
wasn't
was
even a lawyer
in this case. That was in the UK case.
She wasn't part of this trial, so she shouldn't. She wouldn't know.
Mr. Depp lost.
But here's the thing:
down in the UK.
You were able to get some evidence that you say demonstrated abuse.
Virginia.
You certainly had her testimony. There were pictures, documents, all kinds of evidence. But in point of fact, the jury rejected it. You argued in your closing arguments that if they found even one instance of abuse, and it did not even have to be physical abuse, that they would have to find for Amber Heard, and they didn't.
And the other part to bear in mind here is nothing changed. The op-ed didn't even mention Mr. Depp by name.
Doesn't have to.
And
it said
so
what
what basically they did here is demonize
her only husband,
and they did.
Or was
they were
her
able
only
to suppress
husband.
the medical records,
they said
which
prior
were
to 2 years
very,
ago,
very
like 2
significant
years ago,
because
prior
they
to
showed
the op-ed
a pattern
was
back, going all the way back to
the
2012
relationship. You know,
of Amber reporting
there was
this
a lot
to
of
her
clues in there
therapist,
that
for example. We had
obviously
significant
indicated
amount of text, including from Mr.
Johnny
Depp's
Depp.
assistants, saying, when I told him he kicked you, he cried. He is so sorry. That didn't come in.
Is there any other way to interpret this verdict, though, that this jury, for whatever reason, and I hear you on some of the evidence that they didn't hear, listening to Amber Heard, did not believe a single word?
You know, and that's because she was demonized here. A number of things
she
were
demonized
allowed
herself
in this court that should not have been allowed.
Acting.
And it caused the jury to be confused.
The jury was not confused. If the jury was confused, it would have taken a lot longer.
So the damages is completely skewed. There are no damages. It stopped at November 2, 2020.
The jury was not confused. It was kind of
when the
set in
judgment
stone,
came down
clear
in the UK.
evidence.
Let me ask you about social media in this case. Unlike any celebrity case, certainly I've ever covered or ever seen, social media was a part of this. And it was incredibly lopsided and vitriolic against Amber Heard. Do you think that had an effect on the case?
Absolutely.
You think jurors were aware of it? They weren't supposed to be. They're admonished every single day.
Even if they saw social media, I don't think it would have changed it.
They went home every night. They have families. The families are on social media. We had a 10-day break in the middle because of the judicial conference. There's no way they couldn't have been influenced by it. And it was horrible. It really, really was lopsided. And I appreciate your saying that. It's like the Roman Colosseum, you know, how they viewed this whole case.
No.
I was against cameras in the courtroom, and I went on record with that and had argued against it because of the sensitive nature of this. But
yeah, you're coming on camera now exposing this.
Appeal?
Oh, absolutely. And she has some excellent grounds for it.
I'm going to pause it just for a second. What she is doing and what Amber is doing is re-defaming Johnny Depp. Literally, what they're both doing is the same thing that put them there in the first place. Johnny could potentially sue them again.
We even had tried to get the UK judgment in to dismiss his case because he already had his shot. And that's one of the issues, but also a number of the evidentiary issues. There was so much evidence that did not come in.
Is she able to pay a $10.4 million judgment?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Finally, in closing arguments, Amber's team argued that this would send a message, that it would send a message that no matter what you do as an abuse victim, you always have to do more. You need to be perfect in order for people to believe you if she did not get a favorable verdict. What message do you think this?
See, it's saying that, oh, basically, my client has to be right, no matter what. My client has to be right. And if it's not, then the system is wrong. I wonder if the verdict came out the other way. I wonder if she's going to believe the jury. See, it's only favorable if they are the ones winning, which they weren't. They should have known after the first day of the trial that they were going to lose, to be honest. It was a big mess on her end, and she irritates me.
It's a horrible message. It's, as I said, a setback. It's significant setback because that's exactly what it means. Unless you pull out your phone and video your spouse or your significant other beating you, effectively, you won't be believed.
Elaine Charlson.
That is super wrong for her to say. Okay? And I've heard from other lawyers, and if you're a lawyer, then hit me up and we'll talk about it. But multiple lawyers have come out and said that there has been multiple women who were able to be believed with no evidence. It's just, which Elaine and Amber both don't understand, is that it's more than evidence that you need to prove. Okay, you got to be able to be credible while you're on the stand. Be believed. She wasn't credible. She wasn't believable. She was over-exaggerating things that she shouldn't have. She was all over the place with her stories, contradicting her witnesses. It was a big mess on her end. She did not have her story straight. Okay? She did not. She did not know what she was going. And I think she knew it too, because she was so far into this, there was no way that she was going to back out of it. Now, she has problems. Some serious, major problems. If you ever see Amber Heard, run the other way, okay? She's probably gonna get you into a lawsuit, to be honest. So I'm gonna keep updating you guys on this story. And I mean, as Elaine and Amber keep on exposing themselves even more, I mean, I got more content for my YouTube channel, so that's all I can ask for. So as long as they're continuing doing this, making stupid decisions, going on air about this, we're going to talk about it. So you won't miss a thing. Certainly, I won't miss a thing because I'm invested with this. Even after the trial, I'm invested because I want to see where this goes. And if Amber appeal gets denied, and I want to know. But without further ado, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for some more updates. I should have another new YouTube video out tomorrow, hopefully. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.